Hello everybody, Carol Garrison with Carol's Creative Escape. It is Monday, October 14th, which means it's time for another Make It Monday. Thank you so much for joining me. I apologize for not being here live last week. It's a really busy time at work for me, and I got home way too late and didn't have time to put something together that I felt good about sharing with everybody. And so I cut myself some grace last week and just said I'm taking the night off. So I appreciate you understanding that. Tonight, I'm going to follow up. 2 weeks ago, I worked with the Frosted Forest stamp set and the masks and made some fall cards to share with you. I will pull those up maybe I'll pull those up. You know, I can't remember where I put them now. I'm still a little bit out of sorts from everything that's been going on with work and stuff. It's okay. Anyhow, some beautiful fall cards using the masks. Whoops, and now I'm throwing everything on the floor. I'm just going to stop. Using the masks that are available for us in the online exclusives. And it did come with another set of masks. It's a really nice set because it comes with dies, it comes with stamps, and then it comes with a set of masks to do just like a regular tree, which makes gorgeous fall trees. That's what I demonstrated last time. And then it also has masks to do the pine trees. And I really liked how that looked too. I kind of rushed through hoping that video I'd be able to share with you both examples, but I ran into some issues with the trees and that I used the embossing paste and it got on just a little bit too soon. And I thought made things a little too green to look like snow. So I've played with that a little bit this week. Have better results on that, and I want to just be able to share that with you. Again, I hope everybody has had a great couple of weeks, I guess, at this point. We've had some gorgeous weather, although I do believe that fall has finally arrived here. We are, unlike many other parts, oh, excuse me, cat, you can't have the ribbon. Unlike many other parts of the country, we are quite dry, so we have a lot of dirt and dust flying around. Have not had any rain for a little over a month, I think, at this point. So it's never good going into the fall season that dry. So we're hoping maybe we might get a little bit of rain coming up here. You know, other than that, I can't really say I have a whole lot going on. Looks like the cat might be joining me here a little bit. You know what, Knox? I'm going to take you down. This is Knox. She's one of the cats that's staying with us. Very sweet cat. Not a very pretty meow, though. There you go. She does like to partake in my videos, though. She actually likes to help me stamp. She's up here quite a bit. I am going to flip my camera around so that we can start here. Bear with me with a little bit of jiggling around and a close-up of my hand and ceiling. And now I am going to hopefully, I don't think I did that bad a job lining it up even. We'll work a little bit to get it straighter. I'm going to plug in my other cord here just so that I don't run out of juice while I'm recording. I should be full, but it's always better to be safe than sorry. All right, I think I'm going to stop messing around because it looks like I've got it pretty good. So this is the stamp set that I'm talking about. And these are the beautiful dies. And I'm going to share another little embarrassing story that I ran into with the dies. And I'm hoping that you'll support me in my embarrassment on this one. I think we've probably all at some point have done something like this. I had stamped my images last night because I wanted them to dry and see what would happen when I then put my embossing powder on top of it. And I went to go die cut it, and I forgot that I had two different sets of pine trees, and I actually grabbed the wrong set of dies first. So I ended up fussy cutting all my pine trees instead of using the dies that I've got. It's okay, I lined them up. I didn't do that bad a job, but I could have saved myself a little bit of time by being able to just use the dies. So always make sure that you've got the coordinating dies Frosted Forest dies that go with the Frosted Forest stamps. It might save you just a little bit of time. Oh well. I can't be right all the time and perfect, can I? So I am going to just show you real quickly how this mask works. And then I am going to switch out as I'm working on these so that I've got one that's been dry a little bit longer, and I will use the same technique but to put on the embossing paste instead. So there are 3 masks that go together, A, B, and C. And you know, I am just having, there's C. I was going to say, I'm just having that kind of day where I'm losing everything. Oh, well. So we are going to start. I'm just going to do this little tree and disregard all of my markings over here. Actually, no, I'm going to do the little tree. You can disregard all of these markings here, in fact, so as not to confuse the situation. I use a Sharpie marker just to mark where I'm at when I'm doing my masks. And of course, each time I do it, it changes a little bit. So I am actually using hand sanitizer to clean this. It gets the purple marker right off, except right there. There we go. I have not had any issues using that, and it's usually a quick one. But the marker that I'm using will also come off. Even though it's a permanent marker, it will come right off of here with a little bit of water. So right now, I am going to just get this set up here. I am going to put some tape to hold down various pieces of this. And then to help me line up the next one, I like to just draw a line and that indentation, and that way I know where I need to go next time. I am going to grab my garden green ink. This is exactly what I did with the fall trees, is this technique. So I'm going to grab that. I will take a little bit of my scratch paper, and I'm just going to run in a circular motion my blending brush right over the tree. I have tried using daubers with these masks, and for me personally, I prefer the look of the blending brushes. Totally up to you what you want to do. So I've got my first outline done. And then next, I'm going to take the B of these, and I'm going to do a couple things. The first thing I'm going to do actually is cover my ink pad up so I don't put my elbow in it. Anybody else ever do that? And then I'm going to line this up in that indentation that I made. And I always follow up to kind of look at where I've got this going to, because it is going to line up a little bit, but not perfect. It's going to be more important that you get this side lined up, because this you actually want it off a little bit to offset what you've already colored. Okay, so you can see a little bit of the greenish showing through. That helps with blending it when you're doing a different color. And I am going to go to my shaded spruce. And I use the same blending brush. It's kind of green tones. I've got these color indicators, so I know. I do tend to wash my brushes off in between card making sessions, but not in between colors. I just rub as much off. So this is the shaded spruce. And now I'm just going to go again in that circular motion right over this. I can make it as dark or as light as I want. And I am going to come in, as you can see, and make it a lot darker for those pieces, just because I can. And then typically you would take and grab your third color, and that's C, and again line it up the same way, and you could do a color. I am choosing instead to use that embossing paste. And so I would normally line it up and do just what I'm doing. I actually want to use this other tree that I've already got cut out. And the only reason for that, it even looks nice with the two colors, doesn't it? The only reason I'm using this little tree that I already have cut out, unless of course I can't find it. You guys, I just can't even. I can't even. And it's not even that messy here. Well, at least what you can see on camera. There we go. What I found when I had cut these out and wanted to just place it, I just put a little bit of washi tape that's not super sticky right onto here. Disregarded this mark now because I'm not going to be able to line it up again. Doesn't necessarily matter because I'm just going to come in and line this up so that I can add snow to different parts. And I'm going to tape this down. If I were doing it in the same place and I hadn't pulled it up, then this marking would be important. But because I've already removed it, I don't need to worry so much about lining it up. Now, to create my snow look, I am taking the embossing paste. This is just a white paste. And I'm going to use my spatula. You can get a set of 3 spatulas. I am using this particular one for no reason other than it's the one that I picked out. Now, one of the things you need to be aware of with this embossing paste is it dries hard. So if you leave it on your tools or on here, it's going to be very difficult to get off. So what I would recommend is that you have a bucket of water. I've just got one of those cheap plastic bins, shoebox size bins with water in it beside me here. And I am able to just stick this in right away when I am done with it. So I'm just going to put a dollop of the embossing paste on here and put it down in there. And then I'm just going to spread it like I'm frosting a cake, kind of. You can scrape it. You got to be careful when you're doing that because I have found that it kind of picks it up. And I do want a good coat on here, but it doesn't have to be super thick. And so I've got it spread. I've covered up all the holes. And then you can just kind of take this and scrape. Oops. See, that's what you don't want to do because I scraped it right off. Gently scrape off the extra. Scrape that back into your container. And then I always keep that foil on top. I close my container up tight. And then I do store this in a plastic bag. If you notice this is starting to dry up, just add a little bit of water and stir it in until it is no longer dry, you know, that it's back to that spreading consistency. It is fairly forgiving. And then I am going to carefully peel this off. Sometimes it sticks with the tape, sometimes it doesn't. And now I've got this lovely Christmas tree that has snow on it. Again, both of these pieces I'm immediately dropping into my bucket of water. That way, while I am talking with you, it is sitting in water. And when I'm done here and go to clean up, I can get all of that stuff off of there. These masks I'll just run under cold water and it'll take the ink right off for these two. And in fact, I can even set those in my water now if I wanted to do that. I am going to set them aside. So this is kind of what the snow looks like when you first put it on. It stays fairly white. It does pick up the green. At first I thought last week it was doing that because the ink was still not fully dry. And so I didn't think I did it right and that I could use that. This is the one I was experimenting with something else, so there's other stuff on there. But it didn't quite work. And you can see on here already it is picking up the green, although not quite as intense. unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, as it is drying, it will get greener. And that's just the way that it works. And that's okay. So by the power of live cameras, I've already got some of these done to make our card with. And I'm just going to go through. I wanted to make sure this was dry before I started manipulating it. So again, I am using the Frosted Forest set, which it is a bundle that includes the stamps. It includes the 6 masks, the tree that I did last week, these pine trees I'm doing tonight, and then it also includes a set of dies. So it's a great bundle. They all work together, especially when you pull the right pine tree dies out to die cut your pine trees. And then for the measurements on the card, I've got a 4 1/4 by 11 piece of shaded spruce cardstock scored at 5 1/2. This could also be, 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. This happened to be pre-cut, so I'm already using it. I've taken a piece of the silver foil, and this measures 4 by 5 1/4. And I've run it through, I think it's called Gently Falling or Softly Falling Snow. It's a 3D embossing folder that we had in the catalog last year, and it did carry over for us to use this year as well. Let me see if I can get the name for you. Oops. I think it was in this catalog. Yes, it is called Snowflake Sky. Sorry. So it's a 3D folder. It's got snowflakes and then the little dots. And then I did that to a piece of white cardstock. This cardstock measures 1, 2, 3, 4 1/2. I think it is. Where's my ruler? Sometimes it's easier for me to count on this. 4 3/4 by 3 1/2. That's where that half came in. And again, I've run this through the embossing folder as well. I just wanted a little bit of design behind and to make this card pop. And then I am also going to be using the ribbon that is called Shaded Spruce, or the color is Shaded Spruce, and it's the satin and sheer ribbon. And I just thought it would add a little bit of touch to this. And then finally, I've taken a scrap of basic white cardstock, and I've used the Greetings of the Season stamp set, and I just pulled the Merry and the Christmas out, and I've embossed it with silver embossing powder, again to pick up that silver paper. I just need to trim it down a little bit. I wanted it longer so that when I was trimming it, I didn't, or doing the embossing powder, I didn't burn my fingertip holding it. That's not my favorite thing to do. All right, so I'm just trimming that down a little bit. I know there's people out there that could probably trim the top and the bottom of this too. I'm not that talented, so I am not going to do that. We're going to go with what we've got. So the first thing we're going to do to create this card is I'm going to fold my cardstock in half, and I noticed I didn't have it lined up quite right. Using my Despairing Bone folder, here we go. We'll burnish it along the score line. I am just going to take my tape runner and again use a light touch with that check mark. And because this is foil and it's a 3D embossing folder, I am putting a little bit more adhesive on than I normally would. I just want to make sure that it's holding. And I never know, do you have it like this so it's lighter and then it piles up, or it's coming down heavier and it thins out? I don't know that it really matters. Maybe I'll go this way, and that's where all the snow is landing and piling up to make a good winter scene. So we're going to go like that. And then, like I said, I did the basic white. And again, I've used the, oops, time I pressed a little bit hard. When you've done the 3D embossing, sometimes it'll break the fibers down and cause the paper to peel a little bit, which is what happened here. But I was able to save it without too much damage, so all is good. And then because I've got the heavy snow down here, I want to make sure when I put the white on top of it, part of me wonders, do I even need that white? I think I still do. And then I am just going to decorate this card with these pine trees that I made earlier. I will kind of come up with a way that we can arrange them. They don't all have to be in a row. I just need to make sure they are all on here and they fit. I think this first one we're going to put down with just our adhesive tape. And I'll put that down and a little bit off my basic white background. And then this tree maybe in the back a little bit. We've got this other taller tree in here that we could put down. I might bump that one up a little bit. I don't know. Maybe I'll go something like that. So again, this big tree, I'm just going to use adhesive to hold it down and run it off my basic white. I have the card in my head. I just didn't execute it fully before committing it to paper. So I think that's what we're going to do. And for these two here, I'm going to pop them up on dimensionals. Just to add a little more, this card maybe end up being one of those that I need to hand deliver or put extra postage on. I always like to kind of make note of that. Generally, I like my cards to go in the mail without any fancy extra stuff, but if this one requires it, then I either hand deliver or pay the extra postage. Put that tree up there. I don't like that tree up there. I'm going to put that tree more down here. And then I've got my pretty Merry Christmas sentiment. I think that covers too much of the front of my card up. So what we are going to do on the inside of the card, this is how my brain works sometimes when I'm creating cards, is I just have to play with things a little bit and see what happens. And so I am going to put my inside layer in. Be patient with me. I have an idea here. And we're going to put this right in the center of the card. Sometimes what I think is going to happen and what ends up happening are two different things. This would be one of those times. So I've got this greeting, and I am now going to put it on the inside of my card, but I do want this white to pop off. So I still happen to have my blending brush that happens to have some of the coordinating ink in it. And I am just going to take that and lightly color the edge of my sentiment here. I'm talking in slow speed, just like I'm running my blending brush over the edges. The blending brush is just going to create a shadow effect around the sentiment without coloring it in completely. but it will make it pop on our inside of our card. And I don't want to have this popped up with dimensionals on the inside because that would make the card close funny. So we're just going to put that in the middle. This is kind of a card where you'd say, hey, Merry Christmas, love the Garrisons, and then include your Christmas note in your card because there's not going to be a lot of room to write. Or perhaps you don't want to write a lot, and then you can just say, Merry Christmas from the Garrisons, and you're good too. I do, however, want to use some of this really pretty ribbon, and so I am just going to make a bow. Now, some of you have seen me use this. This is a little bow tying gadget that my dad made for me. I kind of showed him a prototype of what I wanted, and then he went to work and created this for me. It's not working very good for me right now. I just moved the pegs, and that's what changes the size of the bow. This is a thicker ribbon, so I do want my bow to be a little bit thicker. I do tend to leave my tails a little bit longer until I'm done creating it, and then I can trim them off and get them at the right angle. And now I've got a pretty bow. I'll grab my, what I call my ribbon stickers, and I'm just gonna cut that at an angle, kind of pull that down, cut it at an angle. And now, oh, that's not at the same angle though. There. Now I can just attach this to my card. And I've got a lovely little space right up there. I like to use my mini glue dots to attach my bows. I usually will put on a bow this size 2 dots kind of side by side on the back. And I can attach that. And now I've accomplished what I wanted, which was to use some silver. I've got the bow on here. I've used the paste. I think it, even though it turned greener than I thought it would, it still gives kind of that snow draped effect. And then on the inside, I was able to use that Merry Christmas. Considering I have no prototype to follow up on this card, I like how it turned out. Again, here is that tree that we embossed using just 2 colors. These do actually all have 3 colors, and then I went back and put the snow on it. You can kind of play with it however you want. Try different colors. I think it does a great job just giving a little depth and detail. And then I did find, because I mentioned to you that this set includes the masks to make some fall trees. And so here's just a couple of examples that I made using the trees. And this was different colors, kind of reminds me of one of the maple trees in my neighborhood that turns a brilliant red. Kind of purple. And then this is the pine tree version using the masks. I have yet, with the exception of the tree trunk here where there's the lines, I haven't used any stamps yet to create these cards. All I've done is use the mask to come up with the cards. So in the next couple weeks, look for me using actually the stamps and the dies that go with this to create even more wonderful cards. Honestly, I would probably not use this technique if I was going to be making multiple cards because it is a little more time consuming. But to kind of do the 1s and 2s or just have fun blending colors and see what happens, these masks are really a lot of fun to work with. So I hope you enjoyed this card. Perhaps I've inspired you to give it a try or something similar to it. If you haven't tried these masks before, I would really encourage it. They're easy to use and they really do add a lot of depth to the cards. But if you do create this card, please do me a favor and post it in the comments. As much as I hope I inspire you to try making cards, I also want to inspire others. And one of the best ways that we can do that is to share our talents and share what we make. I love it when I find out that somebody has copied a card that I've made or used it as the foundation and kind of tweaked it a little bit. And what I like about that is I know I inspired somebody to try something, and that's really a great gift to have, and I'm happy that I can share it with each of you. Everybody have a great week. We will see you next week. My goal is to get my act together a little bit more this week and be slightly better prepared perhaps than I was tonight, but we will get there. In the meantime, if you're having a kind of crazy hectic week or two in your life, cut yourself some grace and take time to just be around. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.